new new flags outside, the Tibetan flags and medicine Buddha flags, and I pulled some out. So I need to put them in a fire puja, right? The ones that I pulled down.
Yeah, it's best to burn them, right?
Okay. Could this be the process of the fire puja, what you just shared with Chris? Could I do that or just burn them?
You can say Om Ahum over them, and as you burn them, you think, may the smoke go and bless everybody.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Jirna.
The Om Ahum is sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thanks. Okay. For the recording, welcome back. Yes. We are ACI Course 5, Class 4. It is June 17th, 2024. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you. They're gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion, their wisdom radiating from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it would be if we could also help in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they would go on to stop their distress forever. We are learning how this could be possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. with that state of mind, turn your attention back to that precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the perfect world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings reach their total awakening for the benefit of every single other. So again, listen to the source of all my good. The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to them in the proper way is the very root of the path, and grant me then to serve and follow them with all my strength and reverence. Bless me first to realize that the excellent life of leisure I have found just this once is ever so hard to find and ever so valuable. Grant me then to wish and never stop to wish that I could take its essence night and day. My body and the life in it are as fleeting as the bubbles in the sea froth of a wave. Bless me first thus to recall the death that will destroy me soon, and help me find sure knowledge that after I have died, the things I have done, the white or black, and what these deeds will bring to me, follow always close behind, as certain as my shadow. Grant me then ever to be careful to stop the slightest wrong of the many wrongs we do, and try to carry out instead each and every good of the many that we may. Bless me to perceive all that's wrong with the seemingly good things of this life. I can never get enough of them. They cannot be trusted. They are the door to every pain I have. Grant me then to strive instead for the happiness of freedom. Grant that these pure thoughts may lead me to be watchful and to recall what I should be doing. Grant me to give the greatest care to make the vows of morality the essence of my practice. They are the root of the Buddha's teaching. I have slipped and fallen into the sea of this suffering life. Bless me to see that every living being, every one my own mother, has fallen in too. Grant me then to practice the highest wish for enlightenment, to take upon myself the task of freeing them all. Bless me to see clearly that the wish itself is not enough. For if I am not well trained in the three moralities, I cannot become a Buddha. Grant me then a fierce resolve to master the vows for children of the victors. Grant that I may quickly gain the path where quietude and insight join together, one which quiets my mind from being distracted to wrong objects, the other which analyzes the perfect meaning in the correct way. Grant that once I have practiced well the paths shared and become a vessel that is worthy, I enter with perfect ease the way of the diamond, highest of all ways, holiest door to come inside for the fortunate and good. Bless me to know with genuine certainty that when I have entered thus, the cause that gives me both the attainments is keeping my pledges and vows most pure. Grant that I may always keep them, even at the cost of my life. Bless me next to realize the crucial points of both the stages, the essence of the secret ways. Grant me then to practice as the holy ones have spoken, putting all my effort in and never leaving off the practice of the 4 times, highest that there is. Bless me, grant me, that the spiritual guide who shows me this good road and all my true companions in this quest live long and fruitful lives. Bless and grant me that the rain of obstacles, the things within me and outside me that could stop me now, stop and end forever. In all my lives, may I never live apart from my perfect lamas. May I bask in the glory of the Dharma. May I fulfill perfectly every good quality of every level and path, and reach then quickly the place where I become myself, the one who holds the diamond. So are you noticing that almost all of this Lam Rim has to do with behavior, morality, karma, deeds, vows? It's significant. So last class, we learned about virtue and non-virtue. And we learned that there's a definition of those two. And the definition of virtue is something, anything, a deed of body, speech, or mind that in the short term brings us some pleasant experience, and in the long run protects us from suffering by bringing us to nirvana. And then we learned that non-virtue is anything, any deed that brings us an unpleasant result. And then we learned that a neutral karma, neutral deed, is anything that brings a result that's other than those two, a pleasant result in the short term that brings us to nirvana in the long term, or an unpleasant result. And if we think about that, it's like, well, then there are also those good deeds that we do that don't quite qualify as virtues. They give us a pleasant result, but don't take us ultimately to nirvana. Where do they fall? Technically, they fall in non-virtue because the pleasant result wears out, and that leaves us wanting for more, and that's technically a kind of suffering. But, that leaves us like, oh man, so I can't do anything in this life that's of virtue until I have wisdom. So I'm just stuck, let's go eat chocolate. But that's the wrong conclusion, of course. But it does leave us thinking, well, I need to know more about this karma thing then, because just this much information so far does not leave me feeling so inspired. Hey, it kind of leaves me feeling like, it's beyond me. if I can't really ever make virtue? So we go on with all these details about what's meant by karma. And what is meant by karma? Movement of the mind and what it motivates. And within that is how, where, a myriad of worlds come from. Really, truly meaning, all those universes that all those, spaceships are out there investigating, all of that comes from our deeds. But probably more importantly is what we're seeing happening in our immediate life around us, and then in our more global life around us. That also is results of our own past deeds of body, speech, and mind. So in that way, we see that my behavior then, my body, speech, mind behavior is actually the creator of my world. But there's that darned or blessed time delay between the movement of the mind and what I do and the result that I get from those. We think that what I do in this moment brings what comes next. And that's the big mistake. What we do in the moment does bring us a result. And that result's going to be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, if that's possible, according to all these different factors that were in play when we did the deed that made the cause that becomes the result later. And our problem is we can't see that direct cause-effect relationship because we don't have that state of mind that's perceiving it directly. But we can learn, all these details about it, and then we can sort of connect the dot and make wiser choices for our behavior based on what the omniscient being that sees directly these things has taught us about it. It does require that process of showing ourselves that this being who taught this material, not meaning me, but Buddha, that being taught taught material that can really help us. And so that's why we spent last course trying to show ourselves that the being we are studying from is a being who's Semar Girpa, right? I keep coming back to that because it's like that course was so hard. Course 4 is difficult to understand. Why are we going through all of this stuff? But it was all so that our understanding of where this material is coming from can get firmer and firmer so that when we find ourselves in situations where we start doubting, which we very likely will, right? That we have a strong foundation to fall back in is like, no, this has to be my seeds. So this course is like a dictionary of things we need to know, things that will help us to know about this thing called karma, this process through which we create our world that we call karma, right? It's not that karma is a thing that Buddha created or that he made up. It's an explanation of how our behavior shows up in our experiences. And when we have all that information, we can design the behavior that will create what we want to see in the future. And we can do it, to create a better human life if you want. You'll get a better human life if you use it to create your own nirvana or Buddhahood. So whatever your motivation, you could use it to design a worse world if you want, if that's what you want. Hopefully that's not what you want. So this course is like encyclopedia. And this class is like that. It's just the facts. Facts, facts, facts. And it can be overwhelming, but just write them down, have them, so that when you're cooking all of this, you can go back and go, that's in course 4. Let me go look at that course 4 again. When we have questions, what should I do in this situation? Go to course 4. Right? And it has the clues in it. So my job is to give you all the facts. So yes, Comley, what you got?
Yeah, just curiosity. Just now, teacher saying that the scientists, because they are exploring the space, the outer space, and then they make they found out there's Jupiter, and then and from Buddha's, and I should call it wisdom or knowledge. I mean, it is already that 3,000 big world or something like that. So
yeah, 1,000 of 1,000 of 1,000 planets.
yeah. So I was just wondering. I mean, I think kind of like he's more advanced than anybody, and then he already like can see it, and then already say in the text that there are so many big world out there, but the scientists still like exploring the space around the Earth. So is it true that I was just wondering, so the 3,000 big world or something like that. You get what I mean?
Not self-existent. Right?
Sorry?
You're asking the question because our mind is thinking, Buddha says there's a billion of a billion planets and they can be inhabited, so they must already be there and we just haven't found them yet. And we're thinking self-existently. Are there a billion of a billion of a billion planets? Yes. But not self-existently. And that's just so hard, right? It's like, wait a minute. Okay. So your answer is yes and no.
Okay.
So second on your quiz is give the Tibetan word for shame and consideration and explain them. Those were those 2 mental functions that are virtuous. So remember I said there's nothing we can do that's virtuous until we have wisdom. It's like, no, we can have shame and consideration, which we already do have, right? Whatever level of personal morality that you live by, they are directed by these 2 states of mind, whatever you call them, Notsa and Tralyu. The Notsa they call shame. I like personal integrity better. Shame, Notsa, means you refrain from doing a certain deed, even if nobody would ever know it, right? Your personal integrity says, I am better than that, right? I will not do that. I don't care if nobody knows. Tralya is the state of mind that says, I won't do that because if somebody saw me doing it, I would be ashamed of myself, or, I would be concerned that they would like me less, or I would be concerned that they would think that's okay to do and then they'll do it too, right? Some kind of consideration for how my deed will impact the other. these two states of mind, as we're choosing our behaviors, they're in our minds already. And they're a virtue. The state of mind that says, do I do this or I don't do this? Do this, don't do this. Do this, don't do this. That's a good state of mind. That's a virtuous state of mind. It will bring us good results in the short term and eventually take us to nirvana. So yay, right? We've got some virtue going on. Then it said, name the top 10 non-virtues. And what do you think their opposite would be? The top 10 virtues would be. And so those are divided by the 3 gateways. There are 7 of them relate to the body, right? No, only 3. What 3 relate to the body?
Healing.
Oh.
Healing.
Stealing,
Stealing. And
sexual misconduct.
sexual misconduct. So what do you figure the opposite would be?
Protect life.
Protecting life.
Protecting life,
Yeah,
Honoring other people's property.
yeah, protecting
Honesty.
others' property,
Honest.
ethical way of life,
right? Honoring others' relationships, partnerships of any kind. Then there's 4 of speech. The non-virtues of speech,
Lying.
lying,
Meaningless speech.
divisive,
Divisive talk. Harsh
Harsh
words.
harsh
And
words, and
Idle
I
speech.
got
useless,
just-
right? And what would be the opposites?
Honesty.
Honesty, right? Speak truthfully. What's the opposite of divisive?
Bringing people together.
Yeah,
Praising
speaking
other people.
highly. Yes,
And
speaking
praising
highly of
others.
other people to other people. Singing people's
Praising others,
praises.
right?
And then the opposite of harsh,
Nice words.
Nice.
Yeah.
kind, kind
Sweet.
words,
and then the opposite of useless,
meaningful speech.
just purposeful.
Yeah.
It seems to me if we really did that, we'd be quite silent, wouldn't we?
We can talk about Dharma.
Except the Dharma, right?
Good.
Then there's 3 of mind.
Coveting, ill will, and wrong view.
Yeah, coveting, ill will, and wrong view. And what do you figure are the opposite?
Coveting, wanting to have others what they want, giving them
Desire.
giving them and wanting.
Right,
Ill will, we go out and help them,
right, whether we like them or not, right?
right? And
Help
wrong
somebody
view,
in trouble, whether we like them or not.
knowing karma is true and our deeds now create our future.
Yeah, good, good. So it's like there's not one word for the opposite of coveting, ill will, and wrong view. You know, I've never been able to find just a 1-word statement. I like playing with the variations of the virtues, right, versus the non-virtues, because there's so many subtleties in there. Okay, nice. So we learned that deeds cause the multitude of worlds. Like karma caused the multitudes of worlds. What do we mean by karma? Movement of the mind and what it motivates. Movement of the mind and what it motivates can be virtuous or not. And it can be communicating and non-communicating. And then we learned that what's meant by virtuous or not isn't based somehow in the deed. It's based in the result we get from the deed. which is a twist, right? When I grew up, you know, the authorities said, it's bad to kill, it's bad to steal, it's bad to sexual misconduct, it's bad. And, you know, I took that to mean that deed is a bad thing. And, you know, in my heart, in my mind, that is true. It is bad. They're the 10 non-virtues, right? In every religion, they're there. But Buddha says the reason they're bad is because the real result you get from those deeds are unpleasant. Like, it's so simple, it passes us by. The reason killing is a wrong deed is because you see yourself taking another's life. You think you're doing so to feed your family. It appears that way, but the actual result from taking that life is that your life will get cut short. And probably when that time comes, it will be unpleasant. And that's what makes killing a bad deed. It's hard to really grasp. Same with stealing. The reason stealing is a wrong deed is because its real result is you will get stolen from. So when we start to look at things from that perspective, we're about to do something to or for someone because we think that it's going to bring us what I need next. But in fact, if it brings us a pleasant thing, right? If it brings us what I need next, like turning the key to start the car, the good deed of getting this car started came from something else. And how do we know that? Because sometimes you turn the key and the car doesn't start. So it can't be the cause of starting the car. Same for anything else we do. We hand over the money to get the groceries. We think giving money buys the groceries. And it does, right? You can't walk into the grocery store and walk out with your stuff without paying money. But that's not really where being able to buy groceries comes from. So we're wanting to learn as many details as we can about this thing called cause-result relationship, the real cause-result relationships of things, right? Which is Arya Nagarjuna's root text wisdom big deal. Let's recognize the apparent cause-effect relationship and show ourselves how ridiculous that is, right? How impossible that is. And yet here are these experiences that we're having. So they have to be results of something. Let's figure out what the real causes are or can be so that we can make the causes for what we really want in the future, instead of continuing to make causes that we aren't really aware of what we're going to get from them because of this big mistake. So this class is just a bunch of facts about karmic consequences, all the factors that go into a deed becoming a result. So let me get my vocabulary up here. And you guys back. There. So we learned earlier that there are 3 time frames within which we can ripen a given karmic deed's results. And so that's this one factor to recognize about karma is that any given deed can be done in such a way that it's powerful enough to actually ripen its result within the lifetime in which it was planted. And other deeds are done under such circumstances that they don't have the power to ripen within that lifetime, but they do have the power to ripen within the very next lifetime. And other deeds are done under circumstances such that they don't have the power to ripen in this lifetime. They don't even have the power to ripen in the very next lifetime. They're going to ripen sometime in any lifetime afterwards. So there are a lot of ramifications of this. It just seems like what's so important. But partly it's telling us, you know, we're never going to run out of existence. We have seeds ripening for next life, and we have seeds to ripen in any lifetime after that, you know, meaning things are going to go on. So tong gyur kile. Tong means to see, and gyur is which. So the lei, the karma which we see, what they mean is this is the category of karmic deeds that we do in a given life with a sufficient power that we see the results, those results within that lifetime. We see them within that lifetime. That's what tong gyur is implying here. Kene nyongyur kile means karma that we experience, nyongyur, kene, after born. Like every karma is going to be after born if it's not a tongyur kile. But this one is those categories of deeds done that we will see their results in the very next lifetime. So our lifetimes now, we are made up of some karmas from what we did in our very last lifetime, and some karmas from what we did in any lifetime beforehand. You know, as non-omniscient being, I don't know which ones are which. And so that's not so critical to know, was it last life or some before? What's more critical is the factors involved that make a seed such that it's one that could ripen in this lifetime or my very next lifetime, which, you know, if I'm going to have a very next lifetime, I sure as heck want it to be a human in the Dharma, you know, with my Bodhisattva ideal still intact. And so I'd be thinking, how do I make sure I've got those seeds before this one comes to an end, which I don't know when that's going to be, do I? So we got to get on it now. Then Lendrang Shenla Nyongyur Kile. This is the karma which we experience, Lendrang Shenla, meaning in where is it? Lendrang Shenla means in another time. So meaning any other time than the very next life or this one. So that's one way to classify karma, is by way of when it gives its result. Karma meaning a movement of the mind and what it motivates. All right. So another way to classify karma is that there are 4 kinds of karmas which must ripen. And that's a little bit odd to say because, you know, we have that 4th law of karma, which we haven't actually studied yet, which says a deed done must give a result. But we'll also learn that we can have a mental imprint made that wasn't made with a whole lot of power. And then other mental imprints that we make are influencing this one such that it doesn't gain power, right? Other imprints affect previous imprints such that similars add to similars and opposites detract from each other. So apparently there are seeds that we plant that all the rest that we're planting are not allowing those previously planted seeds to grow in power. They stay latent. They never get over the threshold to actually manifest. We still have those seeds, but they're not ever able to make their result, right? So if we have seeds like that are negative, great. We don't want them to get over the threshold to manifest. But if we have seeds of goodness, we don't want them to stay latent. So this is apparently saying there are some deeds that we do that can't stay latent. No, they're strong enough that they themselves are somehow being added to such that they will get over the threshold. So for negative deeds, we would want to know those factors so that we can avoid them. And for positive deeds, we would want to know those factors so that we can make them, right? We want to make the goodness that will absolutely get over the threshold into manifesting. So there are these four, they call them 4 kinds of karma, which sounds like 4 kinds of deeds, but actually there's states of mind when we're doing deeds, except for this last one. It's an actual deed. So here's the 4: Shuk Drakpo, Yonten, Kishi, Gyun, Chaksu, and Pamasupa. 4 kinds of karma that must ripen. Shuk Drakpa means Shuk means force, and Drakpo means fierce. So a deed done with fierce force meaning a really strong emotion. A deed done with really fierce anger plants that seed so powerfully that it is going to cross the threshold eventually to give a result. It won't ever just go latent. We can still purify, yes, we can. But that takes, conscious effort and a specific set of behaviors to do. It won't just be affected by other things to keep it suppressed because the emotion was so strong when you did it. By the same token, a deed done with fierce faith also is a deed done that won't just go latent. It will bring us a result. It must bring us, it will bring us a result. So a fierce, strong state of mind. Geshe gave another example of this fierce state of mind. It's like when you pour the poison down the anthill and you're thinking, I know I'm right to do this, right? This is how I get rid of the ants. I'm supposed to do this and I'm doing it. Like that conviction of I'm right in what I'm doing. When that is this fierce, a real strong state of mind that you're right to do what you're doing. makes that karmic seed such that it will come over the threshold. In that lifetime, not necessarily. In the very next lifetime, not necessarily, but eventually, right? Sooner or later, it won't be one that can be latent ever. Yunten shigi, gishi, sorry, means a deeds committed towards a high karmic object. Yunten means good qualities, good personal qualities. But here it means really high good personal qualities. Here they're meaning a deed done towards a holy object, what we perceive as holy. And in our tradition, that means the 3 jewels. So deeds done towards the 3 jewels are imprints that are made that won't just go latent. They will ripen. And then in the 3 jewels, recall, Buddha jewel, Dharma jewel, Sangha jewel, an Arya or better is 2 of those 3 jewels, Dharma jewel and Sangha jewel. And so they would qualify in here, right? Doesn't have to be all 3 jewels to be this powerful karmic object towards which the seeds we plant fall into this category of deeds that will definitely ripen. Why? Because they are a being who's so close to reaching that state of nirvana or Buddhahood, depending on what our goal is, actually. The power of the object. Gyun Chakshu means over and over again. So deeds done repeatedly are a karma that will definitely bring a result because they're adding, right? The repeated nature. If we give monthly, whatever, all the different opportunities we have for monthly giving, we gave once, it plants a seed. We give a second time, that plants a new seed and it adds to the other seed. Again, third seed adds to the other 2. Again. So the again and the again and the again makes all those seeds grow. So that's true for negative. And it's true for positive. Then the last one, Mapa Supa. That's a specific deed they're talking about here. Pa and Ma is father, mother. Supa means to kill. Killing one's father, mother. That's a deed that must ripen. It won't just go latent. Because mother, father are included in powerful karmic objects because they gave you this human body. This human body, to have a human body means that we have the 6 elements necessary that we can use to transform from suffering human being to nirvana or Buddhahood. No other form of life has those 6 elements. All humans do. Not all humans have the karma to use it in that way. But we got those elements, 3 from the mother, 3 from the father. And there isn't anywhere else we can get those elements. So doesn't matter quality of their parenting. Doesn't matter the quality of their parenting. the fact that they gave us this human body that we can use makes them a powerful karmic object. And we'll hear it again and again and again. But here, this one in particular, in the category of deeds that must ripen, taking the life of mother, father, or contributing to taking the life of mother, father, is such a powerful deed that it will ripen badly for us. And it bumps up against our culture, you know, that says, you know, maybe they end up on life support, and I know that they wouldn't have wanted life support, and now it's my job to decide, do I stop the life support or do I let it go until, like, how is somebody going to finally pass away naturally if we have life support and we keep giving them antibiotics for their bladder infection? Like, technically we could keep them alive forever, right? If we keep adding stuff. And yet this tradition says, we think ignorantly that they're suffering in this situation, and if we stop it all and let them die, their suffering will end. This tradition says, how do you know that their suffering's going to end? If they still have seeds for suffering and you just unplug them, their seeds for suffering are going to continue. How do we know that they're not going to end up in a hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm sooner than they otherwise would have because you unplug them? It's a hugely ethical, philosophical, and personal decision to make. And again, in this tradition, they say, go by the result, not the deed. And that shifts things a bit. Like, if I put myself in that position, I don't want to be kept alive. But when I think about, am I really sure that I am going to get another human life? Right? It causes some doubt. Maybe I do want to be kept alive through all kinds of misery in order to burn that off, so I don't have those seeds anymore. There's no clear answer, right? The Buddhist answer is, if it's your mother, your father, do everything you can to help them. But that still is tricky, right? Very tricky. Okay. Like, that's one I've got on the shelf. Fortunately, my ma and pa are not with me anymore, so I will not be in that situation, and neither are David, so we won't be in that situation. But anyway.
Dilemma. I'm sorry, but I think we must train our kids, right, for those decisions.
Right. Train your kids, prepare your kids, prepare your own, end of life wishes. Have them known, right?
Of course,
In the
the 5
United
wishes.
States, probably, I think there are these things called the 5 wishes, where you have it written down and you have somebody assigned who has agreed to go by your wishes, no matter what they personally believe. So then what if, your parent has the 5 wishes, do not CPR, do not, put me on life support, do not feeding tube me. And inadvertently, you get the call, your dad's on life support, you got to come. And you know that they said, unhook me if I ever get hooked up. And your personal is, no, I can't do that. But you signed the paper saying, I'll do what they want. Now what do we do? Right? What's the higher deed? Do what they want? Or, no, I have to follow my religious belief. Do you see the conundrum? I think I personally would do what they want. And then I'd work really hard on purification, right? but that's what's in my 5 wishes. Unhook me if I get hooked up. Right? I think I know what to do. You know, send my mind on. Like there's other stuff that we will learn, you know, about that situation that will help. It's not an easy thing. But look, here it is. The only specific deed mentioned in these 4 categories of deeds that will ripen. Yeah. So Copley, you've had your hand up for a while. Thanks for letting me finish this section. You okay? All right.
Yeah, you finish first, teacher. No problem.
Okay. Now, another category is 2 things that will make karma ripen in this lifetime. So these 2 factors through which we can make seeds with sufficient power to get them to ripen in this lifetime. Again, they aren't deeds, but they're states of mind that we try to hold as we're doing our deeds to increase their power. And where is this? It's Shingi Kepar and Sampe Kepar. These 2 factors. Shingi Kepar. Kepar means distinctive. And Shing means the object is distinctive. The object toward which we do our deed, if it is distinctive, then that's part of the factor of the increased power of the seed that we do. You know, in the 3 spheres, we're talking about the object. We're the subject. The other is the object. The deed that we're doing is the interaction between. So for the object to be distinctive is one factor. Sampe means our thought is distinctive. So what makes an object distinctive enough that makes it a contributing factor to a deed being such that it will ripen in this life? And Geshe gave this story of a Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha's previous life story, meaning he's not Buddha yet. So in one of his previous lifetimes, he's a monk in a monastery during a time when a big schism happens in the monastery, you know, meaning the monks are taking sides about something, probably, you know, about who's going to be abbot or something like that. And they are just not getting along. And another monk comes forth and he's able to patch it up between all of these monks, and they all get back together again, and whoa, he saves the day. And it's a great, great goodness to be the one who patches up a schism in a monastery. It has to do with the effect on the Dharmakaya when there's a schism. So our monk, Buddha before he's Buddha, he got jealous of the monk who fixed the schism. And he disrespected him. He said something derogatory, you know, to others about this guy. And as a result of that disrespecting that one, because that one was such a powerful object, and because our hero was under such strong jealousy about it, the story says our hero had 400 lifetimes in the hell realm as a result, and 400 more lifetimes as a woman as a result. So when you read that, ladies, it's hard not to take offense. It's like, wait a minute. Why does he get being a woman as a bad deed of being disrespectful, being jealous? You know, we know a lot of jealous men. But remember the context. Somehow women who are the source of life, right? I mean, not all by themselves, but a key factor in life, are hugely disrespected and lowly and like slave, yeah, property. And so to be born a woman is like this huge insult, right? Back in those days, if you wanted to really insult somebody, it's like you're just a woman, or you're going to be a, oh, there's who made the mistake. That Big Bang, there's a cat, feral cat out here after the birds. Yeah. To talk to that creature. Sorry, got distracted by the cat. Yeah, you know, it's a non-virtue to be born as a woman. And remember the story of Tara. She's this great practitioner, and she's asking, you know, the teachers, what should I do? What should I do? And they say, you know, pray to be reborn as a man, and you'll get your enlightenment in that next lifetime. And they kept telling her that. And she finally said, what? I don't think so. Right. And went on to reach her enlightenment in that lifetime. Right. See, ladies. So, but the time frame was, right, to be born as a woman was a harsh reality. We've come a long, long way. But you know, the challenges that women have in an apparently man's world is because we were the ones who were imposing those restrictions, whatever restrictions we feel as women. We are in this lifetime experiencing those because we were the ones that imposed them before. Right? So yes, we still see these inequalities, and they are inequalities that we contributed to and created, which is why we're in these bodies to help fix it. And the way we fix it is not by, you know, blaming men and putting them down and doing the same thing back that made the whole schism in the first place. So the reason I'm going off on this is you'll see it in the reading. It's like he takes 400 lifetimes in the hell realms and then 400 lifetimes as a human woman. And it's like, what? But this is why in those time frames that was limiting. Okay. Because he disrespected that monk out of jealousy. You know, probably just once was enough, is the point of the story. Powerful karmic object is what we're saying. Other things that make a powerful karmic object, we will learn. How much that other has benefited us. It lends to the power of them as a karmic object. How much they can benefit others. And how many others they can benefit. So these are three factors that through which we ourselves see another being as a powerful karmic object. So there's this list of powerful karmic objects, like sort of in order. Father is the first. Mother is a little more powerful. Lama is a little more powerful still. Meaning your heart lama. Not, you know, not just any old somebody you look up to. Although any one who has taught us anything, you know, falls in there as well. Arya, so someone who has seen emptiness directly. Arhat, someone who's free of all mental afflictions because of their wisdom, and fully enlightened being, Buddha. And then within there, a temple, a Dharma center, a stupa, a monastery, right, in our tradition, in other traditions, a cathedral, a church, a sacred place. All of those are powerful karmic objects because they have either benefited us, they are able to benefit others, and they are able to benefit lots of others. Okay, so that's our criteria. Another criteria we'll see is that someone who's just come out of a very high state of meditation is also a powerful karmic object, at least for that period of time of just coming out. Now, how we would know, we'll get to that in a moment. Let me finish this state of mind and then we'll take our break. So we're talking about the two factors through which we can make seeds with such power they can ripen in this lifetime. One is our deed done towards a powerful karmic object. The second factor is the state of mind with which we are doing that deed. If our state of mind is distinctive, then we've got these two factors. So a distinctive or extraordinary state of mind, sempe kepar, means our motivation for doing the deed is really, really strong. We've heard it already. The fierce force factor, that's similar to this. Our understanding of karma emptiness is clear. We have this strong motivation and we go do the deed towards a powerful karmic object. The scripture gives us an example, and it's an odd one. It says, there once upon a time, there was a eunuch in the keep of a king, right? So a eunuch means a castrated male that they usually employed, their slaves probably, or part of the court anyway, to protect the queens, the harem. Because they've been castrated, there's no risk of any hanky-panky with the queens, but they're still male so that they are able to, be this protective force. So there's this eunuch of the king, and he comes across 500 calves being led to the castration yard, and he has such compassion for these little bulls that he buys them all and releases them to save them. And as a result of that powerful state of mind, they say his organ got renewed, regenerated. His testicles grew back. And we go, oh, come on, that's just a story. But if we understand karma and emptiness, right? And they're saying this powerful state of mind towards 500 little beings, which I don't know, maybe he was seeing them as high karmic objects also. I don't know about that. The story says any kind of, right, apparent magic can happen. Those seeds ripened in that lifetime for that person. All right. So these two factors, powerful karmic object, powerful state of mind, we want to use them in a virtuous way, of course, but the principle holds for non-virtue also. And so it's something to think about as well. How do I avoid having a fierce negative state of mind and doing something towards a powerful karmic object? Because if I do, those are seeds that are going to ripen in this lifetime. And maybe if we think back in life, it's like, holy tamale, I had that blowout fight with my mom or dad when I was a teen. I mean, I'm just making this up. I personally did not. And then we realized, holy Toledo, right? I still have those seeds. Maybe they haven't ripened yet, and I need to do something about them. That's coming. What to do to prevent that seed from ripening in this lifetime or ever after, right? All these factors, there's so much between the lines that we can use to fine tune our world. Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a break. Stop share. Pause recording.
And can I ask question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, just now teacher was explaining the 4 kinds of karma. Okay, so finally I find the original words for, one of the, I think this is one of the things that Geshe Michael used to teach us. I don't know the name is 4 flowers or something like, can hear me?
No, we're getting to that. We're getting to that.
Yeah. But these are 4 kinds of karma. This one is meant to be like, how fast seed ripen, the speed, isn't it? If let's say you're doing it with strong emotions, so it will ripen faster. So this is the time frame that the seed will ripen, isn't it? And then if let's say like if let's say deep committed with strong emotion, it can be positive and it can be negative, isn't it? If let's say you're doing it positive, so good good things will happen. If let's say you do it negatively with strong emotion, bad thing will happen very fast.
Right, not necessarily in the next moment. In
Sorry?
fact, not in the next moment.
Next moment.
It's not the next moment. It's the result that you get from that deed. It will come sooner.
Okay, sooner. Okay, so I should put the words. And after reading all this kind of like this one I consider is a wisdom. Sometimes when I see like some not so good things, like a baby born unhealthy, and then in their early stage, maybe they need to go through operations. Sometimes it's feel like there must be something that this child has done, and you will feel bad. But the things is that the source is that he has done something in his previous life. So you can see it's kind of like a very, what I call that, two kinds of feeling in me, So but somehow or rather, previously, a teacher say that when you see something like this, you should do whatever you can to help the situations.
Right. And you don't say to the mother, this child, right, hurt others in the past life. That's why they're having this. That's not going to give her any comfort.
Yeah. So I to me it's like I have 2 kinds of feeling, but anyhow. So just like in a way, when I see something like this, I should have the kind of thought like how can I help, or what can I do in the situations.
Right.
Yeah. And then here also just now teachers say that Father, Mother, Lama, and Arya, there's no first, second, and third, right? So all are in the powerful object category, isn't it?
Well, they're all in the powerful object category. They do have a little bit of hierarchy in there. When you look at the other factors, which is how many people do they help and how many people can they help? So if your mom and pop are not also lamas who are Aryas, who are aspiring to be Buddhas, then
Mhm.
they're, a little lesser powerful karmic objects than,
Mhm.
your teacher your heart teacher who you're seeing as aspiring to Buddhahood if they're not that already, because their wish to help beings is bigger than your mom's wish to help beings. But maybe your mom's wish, right? Maybe your mom, right? Yes, right. Do you see? So you apply all the factors to all these different beings, and sort of by definition, we say, oh, someone I know is an Arya, a Mahayana Arya, they're aspiring to Buddhahood. They want to help all sentient beings. But I see my mom as, my mom who gave me this body. So she's really not quite as high a powerful object as this Mahayana Arya. Do you see? So it's not whether it's mom or not, it's how many of these three factors, they benefited me, they benefit others, they benefit a great number of others. That's what increases the power.
Okay, which is among them, you still can, differentiate by, I mean, how they helps others.
These three factors, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, get clearer and clearer, because now we are in the, sit, and then from sit itself, you can like sort of like in details how it works, how it
Right.
functions, and things like that. So
Right.
yeah.
The more we understand intellectually, the better we can get it in our heart. All these different factors.
Well, slowly, bit by bit.
Right.
Just a brief question, Lama, regarding our actions and on the highest deeds that we can do towards an object. When we do our offerings in our altar, where do they go between the stupa, holy place, or where do they fit?
Oh,
How does
in this high karmic object?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Well, we're making offerings to Buddhas,
Right,
right?
right.
So it's the Buddha we're offering to that's the high karmic object. So doing the offerings is a deed towards a high karmic object.
Right.
Yes. So
But
the
if I,
themselves aren't inside the list. It's the deed to the being to whom we are making those offerings. That clear?
yes, yes. And I just wanted to share quickly, during these days, there's a wisdom summit of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and there are a lot of speakers. I don't know if you've been able to listen or aware of it.
Didn't realize.
Okay,
Okay.
there's a beautiful talk by this young man that's called Michael Lobsang Tempa, and he gave a talk about riding the waves of your heart, finding emotional balance through the four immeasurable attitudes.
Oh, nice.
It's such an amazing talk, Lama, to meditate upon. I'll make notes and I'll share them with you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Or I'll send you the link so you can address the talk and you can listen to it, okay?
Thank you. Okay, so let me go back to my share screen here. Okay, so next there are 4 examples of powerful objects that will cause karmic results to ripen in this lifetime. So we've been talking about these 2 factors through which we can make our seeds so strong that they will ripen. And within those factors, there was the power of the karmic object. And within this power of the karmic object, there are these four specific. The first one is someone who has just come out of what Abhidharma school calls a cessation meditation for the first time. This is a meditation that closely resembles nirvana. And a person who's come out of that meditation for the first time is a powerful karmic object because they have just gotten a glimpse of what it is that to reach nirvana. And I think this is so interesting because, like, how would you know? If someone you come across, right, has just come out of a cessation meditation, first of all, you'd have to be nearby at seeing them meditate, and you'd have to know, what level of meditation they're on. And you like, I don't know how this is really useful, to be honest with you. But it's telling us when we have this state of mind of this deep meditation called cessation meditation, for some period of time after that, we ourselves are a powerful karmic object. But that doesn't mean we walk around, it's like, I'm a powerful karmic object, use me. We don't do that. It's just like little clues to understanding karma and emptiness. So this is just another clue that me personally, I've got on the shelf. Like, I don't know if somebody's come out of a cessation meditation or a loving kindness meditation. We'll see. There's 4 of them. On the other hand, I'll tell you this story. When David and I were down at Diamond Mountain, being the ones, the feet on the ground, we were helping scheduling people's retreats, and we were usually the ones there when they came out of retreat. And David, more than he would be up in that retreat valley. And so he'd happen to be there when somebody was just coming out of their Lerong retreat. And there was this one time that the fellow that was in retreat was one of the students that I happen to know that David didn't have a whole lot of respect for. And this kid comes out of retreat, and David tells me later, I saw him, I knew he had just come out of his Lerong. I hit the ground in front of him. I did a prostration right in the dirt in front of this young man. And because of this teaching, David's own mind was saying to him, I don't know whether or not this kid saw emptiness directly in his retreat. I'm going to pretend that he did. And I'm going to do something powerful towards a powerful karmic object. And he hit the dirt in front of him. I was so impressed. I would have said, hi, how'd your retreat go? And given him a hug. But I wouldn't. I like my own, right? I was just so impressed with that. So something in that story tells us why they're telling us that someone who's come out of a deep meditation is a powerful karmic object for us. So a cessation meditation. Second one is someone who's come out of what's called an immeasurable love meditation. And by this, they don't mean a deep meditation on the 4 immeasurables, of which one of them is immeasurable love. This is a meditation level that has to do with one of the bodhisattva bhumis. So it's again a very, very deep level of meditation that's very close to nirvana, or you could even say bodhicitta. When they come out of that, for some period of time, they are this powerful karmic object. The third one is someone who has just come out of the path of seeing. They're a powerful karmic object. They're a powerful karmic object for forever after. And then number 4 is someone who's just become arhat. Someone who's just finally finished off the remainder of their mental afflictions and seeds for more, due to having seen emptiness directly and applied themselves to what they learned, to burning off those seeds. But again, it's like, how would I know? And so, like David's story, just pretend the highest. You know somebody who just got off their meditation cushion, pretend they're a high karmic object and do something nice. Because you want to reach your bodhicitta. You want to reach Buddhahood as soon as possible. Do you see how easy? It's like, I don't know whether they're that powerful karmic object or not. So why don't I just interact as if they are? Is that enough to make that seed strongly enough? Maybe yes, maybe no. Because we can say, yeah, I'm just pretending. Really, they're a jerk. Or we can say, yeah, for the moment, I can really pretend strongly enough so that when I plant this seed, it's going to be strong enough that it'll move me along my path. This is actually the basis of the first stages of the diamond way, is because of the empty nature of all others. We can say, because they're empty, they look ordinary to me, but because they're empty, I can decide that they're a Buddha emanating to help me. And so I'm going to be nice to them on purpose so that I can become a Buddha emanating to others too. And then we give them the flowers, we offer them the coffee, we let the car go ahead of us, right? We have opportunities all day long to plant seeds in these powerful karmic ways towards powerful karmic objects based on our own, right? Ability to just say, because they're empty, I can pretend they're a Buddha and then make good seeds towards them. But then the same thing holds true. I can pretend they're a Buddha, and in the next instant, I'm upset with them. Whoops. That's also a really powerful karmic seed made. So it's not something to just decide, okay, everybody's a Buddha, unless we can stay on our best behavior. And then it becomes these very powerful seeds that can change our perception of ourselves and our world very quickly. All right. So now there are 4 things that make, there are 4 more things that make an object of an action special. So we're still talking about us doing something towards an other, and all these different factors in how we perceive that other that increase the power of the deed that we do. So here's 4 more of them. The first one is a being who's a higher form of life is a more powerful karmic object than a lower form of life. But what we mean by higher or lower form of life is a higher form of life is a form of life that's more likely to reach their enlightenment in that lifetime if they're properly trained. So a higher form of life means any being we see as a human is a more powerful karmic object than a non-human. So it's one factor. Like if we were limited, we had $1 bill to give, and we want to do the highest possible thing with our $1 bill. Who are we going to give it to? And so there are all these factors to consider. So technically, this is saying it's more powerful to give or do something towards another human than it is to do the same thing towards an animal. And it's like, I've lost students over this teaching because they say, you know, there are humans that are so rotten, right? That I would not choose them as a higher power, a higher karmic object than Lassie, you know, or Flipper, or, you know, some amazing animal that is so good. And it's part of our big mistake to misunderstand. So these are tricky. Put them on the shelf. Higher form of life. So it's more powerful. A human is a more powerful karmic object than animal. But secondly, a being who's in serious suffering is a more powerful karmic object than a being who's not in like active suffering right now. Like all beings in samsara are in suffering, of course. But so if you have two humans and one is starving and one has plenty to eat, it's more powerful to give to the starving human than it is to give to the one that has enough to eat. But then it gets tricky. Is it more powerful to give to the starving human than the starving dog? And the thing is, we're thinking one or the other, like I'm diamond dealing you. We can help both. The deeds done towards the suffering human is more powerful than deeds done to a not obviously suffering human. But same for an animal. A deed done towards an animal that's suffering is a stronger deed than the same deed done to an animal that's not suffering, actively suffering, right? A hungry dog versus a fed dog. Then third one, someone who has given us great assistance makes them a powerful object of action. So we've heard this one again and again. Parents who gave us this body. Anybody who's taught us anything, right? The teacher who taught you to read, the one who taught you to play piano, compared to, you know, Joe Blow on the street, your piano teacher is a more powerful karmic object. Then fourth one, an object becomes special due to possessing high spiritual qualities, like we just talked about. Someone who's had the direct perception of emptiness and beyond is a powerful karmic object. And the thing is, they won't tell you. Okay. All right, next. Geshe-la wanted to share with us another like tool for understanding karmic results that is not addressed very clearly in the Abhidharma Kosha. And so he went to Jetsun Kapa's Lamrim Chenmo for this section. And it's a section where Jetsun Kapa is explaining what's called the 3 karmic results. This has to do with how our deeds come back to us, how to recognize by way of what we're experiencing now, how to recognize what deeds we must have done to create that, which tells us how to respond differently. And it's related to the 10 non-virtues. He uses the 10 non-virtues to say, you know, from having done this one, this is the result we get, both a personal result and a habit of doing it again, and how it reflects in our environment. Meaning not just like the circumstances of our surrounding world, but the people in it and their behavior towards us as well. So it's called the 3 karmic results, but we see that there's more than 3. Here are the 3. The namen, which we've had that word before. Namen, gyuntun, and jepa and drakdre, right? So in the 3 karmic results, there's 4, actually more than 4. So follow along here. We had the word namen before. Namen meant the rice is cooked. So the ripening result, namen. And Lama Tsongkhapa points out from the literature, it's like this thing they call the ripening result. It means this not specific, but rather it's more like the projecting karma at the end of life sends you to your next realm, hell realm, hungry ghost, animal, human, etc. This namen category here is talking about how deeds that will send us, you know, into the context of the next life. This ripening result is determined by the strength of your emotion at the time of the deed, what your motivation was, and what the actual deed was. And those 3 factors in play color the result. So for instance, if we have seeds of a big bad deed of killing, Geshe Michael said, it means that when we did that act of killing, we had this really, really strong negative emotion, meaning that thing, right, is bad, it's dangerous, it needs to be killed. And we had this strong intention, I'm going to do it. And we did it. And we were happy with ourselves for doing it. And maybe we saw it as a powerful karmic object. You know, I don't know quite the factor in that one. But these 3, that's bad. I'm going to kill it, and I did it. This is what we mean by a strong bad deed of killing. That will ripen into a hell realm lifetime, maybe even more than one. So we're not talking, oh, there'll be a time when somebody sees you as a bad thing and they're going to want to kill you, and they will kill you. That does happen in your hell realm. But that seed colors us into this whole next lifetime. And this is called one of the namen, one of the ripening results. And it's true for any of the 10 non-virtues done with under this strong intention motivation. So a big bad deed of lying could land us in a hell realm. And it's like, what does lying have to do with a hell realm? it's not the lying, it's doing a non-virtue with these three really, really strong emotion, strong intention, and doing it, intending to do it and completing it, right? So full on negativity lands us in a hell realm as the ripening result, the namin. A medium non-virtue means a medium emotion, a medium intention, a medium object. The ripening result is a craving spirit realm. And then for a lesser bad deed, the ripening result is the animal realm. So let me explain the lesser bad deed, and the medium, I think, will become a little more clear. So a lesser bad deed for killing, for example, would be killing something by accident. You know, there's no strong emotion, you know, other than, oh my God, I must have, you know, I just killed something. But at the going into it, there was no emotion at all about the killing. There was no motivation to kill, right? There was no going to do it, but it happened. I did see myself run over the rabbit. Because of that mindlessness, if you will, that deed could be the one that sends me to an animal realm. Same for lying, same for stealing, same for coveting, right? If we're just sort of jealous by habit and we're not really thinking about it, but we do something unkind to somebody to interfere with their success and, you know, kind of by habit, it could end us as a animal realm. Not specific to jealousy, but just the whole realm that we end up in. So then medium means some kind of killing where, you know, we weren't like under this really strong aversion that I have to get rid of it, but I did decide I needed to kill that anthill, you know, and I'm kind of sorry I did it, but I had to do it. You know, it's somewhere in between an accident and I'm right? I need to kill this thing. Somewhere between really strong and really mindless is the medium that you end up as a craving spirit. Yes, Chris.
So where does it fall when you're taught to do something? You're
I
taught
know.
that ant hill is dangerous, and you're taught to kill it. And every street corner there's, buy this and it will kill your ants and all that stuff. Is that in terms of motivation?
Right.
I wouldn't kill something if I didn't think it was right, right? I mean,
Exactly.
people, so like advertising and being taught and the world, where does that fit in with this? Like, is it all the way to the hell realm?
Right. Yeah, later on, there's a class I remember sharing with people is that one of the factors we come to learn to recognize in ourselves is how we are using what we've been taught by our culture, our parents, our teachers, as our guidelines for our morality. And that as we grow in our understanding of emptiness and karma, we come to see more and more clearly that everything we were taught was taught to us by people that didn't understand that what they were teaching was mistaken. Yeah. And that our task as growing towards our bodhicittas is to disconnect ourselves from using that criteria that we've been taught as our choice for behavior. So yes, the I was taught to kill the anthill. I think I'm actually doing a good thing as I kill the anthill. And I'm going to kill the anthill. Lands in that middle ground, right? We're not hating ants and, you know, I want to destroy those ants. That would be big bad non-virtue, right? I'm so sure that I'm doing a good deed by killing those ants. I hate them and I'm going to get rid of them. That's how realm. The middle one is, you know, I'm supposed to do this and I really don't want those ants around. And it seems to me that if I destroy them, they're just ants, you know, and it really is going to get rid of them from my kitchen. And that's what my culture says I'm supposed to do. So it's right for me to do it, right? That's middle ground. That if that was your projecting karma would send us to hungry ghost realm. And you can kind of see that correlation. We just took away from the ants their ability to get their needs met. And that's what a hungry ghost realm is. I can't get my needs met. But it's true for lying or, you know, all of these non-virtues fit big bad ones, medium ones, and inadvertent ones, habitual ones. You know, so some of the habitual ones fall also in the category you point out. This is what I was taught to do. And I was taught that it's right. And so I do it. And I do it, and then I do it, and I do it, and I don't really think about it. It's not quite by accident, but it's by habit, right? By training. And because there's no real conscious decision making, those kind of seeds would land us in an animal realm, right? Because in an animal realm, there's no conscious decision making about morality. So we can kind of see how those correlations go. So that's the numen. The numen is for any of those non-virtues. They could send us to either a hell realm, hungry ghost, or animal realm. But then it's like, even if we do manage to get a human life, then there are these ways that these seeds will ripen upon us within our human realm. And one of those is the category called gyutun, which means corresponding. We'll get results corresponding to the deed done. Geshe later calls it consistent, a result consistent with the deed that we did, meaning similar. We get back a personal experience that's similar to what we saw ourselves do towards the other. And within that corresponding or consistent result, we'll get a similar result and we'll have the habit of doing it again. That's JPA down here. So we could say for any given deed, we could get a ripening result of either hell realm, hungry ghost, animal, or if we manage to get a human life, then we will get a consistent result, meaning a personal experience similar to the one that we did. And we will have the habit of doing that deed again. For example, for killing, the experience that we get back, the nongwa is the word for the experience we get as a result. If our deed was killing, the consistent result we get if we are born human is that our life will be cut short or we get sick often. And we'll have this similar habit. We'll be a being who has the habit of the willingness to kill to solve a problem. So, you know how some kids, I don't know, they pull the wings off moths and stomp on bugs, and other kids, you give them an ice cream and they turn around and try to share it with you. Just different, right? We say they just have different personalities, and that's true. But it's this factor of JPA. The poor kid who enjoys pulling the wings off the butterflies is a kid who was a person for whom, killing and harming and hurting was okay. And then they're going to go on in some life to be the one that gets repeatedly hurt. And probably dies young as the consistent result of being the one who did the killing from before. So we get killed, our life is cut short, or it somehow, illness interferes with it, and we have the habit of killing. You can say and or. Then there's the factor of druk dre, which means the environmental result, the circumstances and the people of our day-to-day experience are what we mean by this druk dre. And Lama Tsongkhapa pulls out of the literature these consistent results and the druk dre, the environmental results for each of the 10 non-virtues. And from that information, we can piece together, like whatever we see happening around us, we can look, like we can do like this, what do you call it? Correlations. By correlations, we'll be able to find what we must have thought, said, or done in some past life that is ripening as these experiences. It's especially the recurring ones. We can find a pattern of our own past behavior, which, it's past, but it means we've got these seeds, and we can identify the non-virtue that's making this unpleasant stuff. We can go, well, what's the opposite of those deeds? That's what I want to cultivate in myself in order to change my future. And we can do so with enough consistency and understanding and power that we can actually see shifts in these problems in our outer world when we get the correlation, when we get the seeds right? We've all been taught how to do that, but we'll see the more information we have to work with, the more clearly we can identify what behavior changes we want to make and towards whom, right? We find a powerful karmic object. We find the new behavior we want to do. We set about to do it with this high intention as we're doing it. And then, last one, coffee meditation, rejoicing for having done it. And we can see changes within this lifetime, right? Which is Geshe-la's point. If we have all these factors, we can change things in this lifetime. Ultimately, we want to change things in this lifetime from samsaric to paradise, not just a nicer samsara. Yeah, and that's what the ACI is helping to teach. So where are we? Druk dre, I've got 5 minutes. All right, this is going to go fast. The environmental results, there's there's multiple ones for each non-virtue. There's usually 2 personal results, the Gyuntun, plus the habit of doing it some more. And then these Draktres, the environmental or immediate environment results. Now, your homework is going to ask you, pick any one of the non-virtues from each of the 3 gateways. So pick one of the body, one of the speech, and one of the mind, and write the 4 consequences that can ripen. So the first consequence is that deed done, with strong, medium, or little factors will ripen as hell realm, hungry ghost, animal realm. If I happen to get a human realm, then the consistent result will be blah, blah, blah. The Draktre, the environmental result, will be blah, blah, blah. Right? So you only need to do 3, but I'm going to read to you all 10 of them. Right? So you ready? I'm going to go a little bit past time again, but not like before, right? Just a few minutes. So here it goes, and it's going to be, on your recording, so if you miss it. So the consistent result, meaning the personal result that we get back, for killing, your life is short. For stealing, you don't have enough to live on. For sexual misconduct, you have problems with your partners. For lying, people don't believe what you say, even when you're speaking the truth. For divisive speech, you lose friends easily. For harsh speech, you hear things as bad sounds. Number 7, for useless speech, nobody listens to you. For coveting, jealousy, our personality is dominated by desire. Ill will, our personality is dominated by anger. And for wrong view, our personality is dominated by stupidity. Then the chapter on the true and the sutra on the 10 levels, so 2 Buddha sutras that Jetsun Kappa quotes, they give 2 consistent results for each of these 10. So even if I manage to get a human life, for killing, not only will my life be short, but I'll get sick easily. For stealing, I won't have enough to live on, and all that I do have is common property with others. For sexual misconduct, the people who work around us are inconsistent, meaning unreliable, and we have competition for our partner. For lying, no one will believe what I say, even when I'm speaking the truth, and others are always deceiving me. For divisiveness, the people around me are always fighting, and they have undesirable characters. For harsh speech, I hear many unpleasant things, and when others talk to me, it seems like they want to start a fight. For useless speech, no one respects what I say, and I'm afflicted with a lack of self-confidence. It's really interesting. Lack of self-confidence comes from meaningless speech. Coveting, my personality will be dominated by desire, and I'll never be satisfied with what I have. And ill will, I'm always finding myself without help, and I find myself hurting others or being hurt by others. And wrong view, I'm a person who keeps harmful views. I'm deceitful. Then the environmental or dominant consequence, each of these 10 non-virtues shows up in our world. And these examples are given from an agronomy culture. So they're talking about crops mostly. And so in modern times, we can think about when we go to the grocery store, whether we can get what we need or whether the fruit and vegetables seem fresh or rotten, right? So just adjust the crop thing to our food source, our grocery experience. So the consequence of killing expresses itself in our outer world as food, drink, medicine, crops. All of those things have little power to be able to help. They seem inferior. They have little nutrition, little potency. They're hard to digest. They even cause disease. And because of this, many people, many beings around us die before reaching a full life. Interesting. Because of stealing, crops are few and far between. They have no power to remove hunger. They spoil easily. They never, the seeds don't sprout. Dry spells stay too long, or it rains too much. The crops dry up or they rot. It's like we're seeing so much of this now. Like, where does climate change come from? Killing and stealing. Right? I have a theory that we've been stealing from the spirits who rule those things, instead of asking for their help. Anyway, sexual misconduct. We live in a place where there's urine and feces all around, mud and dirt and filth. Everything stinks. Everything seems unpleasant and distasteful. From lying. Because we've lied, we live in a world where when we undertake some kind of work in cooperation with others, that in the end, the work fails to prosper. People can't work well together. It seems like everybody's cheating everybody. Everyone's afraid, and there are many things to be afraid of, right? We've created a world of mistrust. From divisive speech, because we split people up with our talk, the very ground in the place we live is uneven, covered with crags and gullies, full of highs and lows, so that you can travel only with difficulty, where you're always afraid and there are many things to be afraid of. For harsh speech, the ground where we live is covered with obstacles like trunks of fallen trees, thorns and stones and clods of dirt, sharp broken pieces of glass. It's rough and dreary. There's no streams or lakes or springs of water. The whole earth is parched and poisoned with salt and borax, burning hot, useless and threatening, a place where there are many things to fear. The desert in the summer is created by harsh speech. Who'd figure, Useless speech, meaninglessness is revealed where fruits refuse to grow on the trees, or they grow at the wrong times. They seem ripe when they're not yet ripe. Their roots fail, they don't last long. And there are no places to take our leisure, no parks, no cool pools of cool water, no glades of grass. Many things around you to make you afraid. Useless. Because we've coveted, then each and every good thing we ever managed to find gets worse and worse, or less and less. with the passing of the days and seasons. With ill will, because of ill will, we live in a world of chaos where disease is spread and evil is everywhere, and plague and conflict and fear from armies of other nations, where there are many lions or leopards or other dangerous animals, where there are venomous snakes, scorpions, poison biting worms. You live surrounded by harmful spirits, thieves or muggers and the like. And from wrong view, we live in a world where the single highest source of happiness is steadily disappearing from the world. A world where people think that things that are unclean are actually nice and happiness. A world where there's no place to go, no one to help, nothing to protect you. So these are so fascinating to like chew on them and modernize them, and just, you know, look at the headlines, look at our environment and make these correlations. And, you know, don't beat yourself up. Like, these are the 10 virtues that if we live in a samsaric world, we do and have done. And to learn about them starts the process of learning to do the opposite. It's not about, oh my gosh, I've been so bad, you know, this is hopeless, everything's terrible, it's all my fault. Don't go there. Go to, holy tamale, look what we've created out of our mistake, right? Let's fix it. Right? Please come out of this class with that attitude. Let's just fix this. But it's so cool to see where everything's really coming from. It's so helpful. So I see both Kong Li and Chris have questions. So yes, Kong Li.
Teacher, I'm curious that, you know, just now, all this by, you know, we have a choice to do it, you know, we can, I mean, if let's say we don't do it, we don't get this kind of things, right? But what about the job? You know, like, you know, some of them, they need to, you know, slaughter like chicken or cows and things like that. So that it's their work, and then, you know, so
Right, right. If you were a chicken slaughterer for work and you need the money to feed your family, and now you're learning this material, what would you do?
change job.
Right, start looking, right? Maybe I have to go back to school. Maybe it's going to take me a year to get out of this job. I need the money. I can't just quit because I do need to feed my family, but I can change my attitude. It's like I used to be proud with my chicken slaughterer because I was so good at it. And now it's like, wow, I really regret that I have to do this. You know, sorry, chicken, sorry, chicken, sorry, chicken, you know, please forgive me. Go to the clear light, whack, go to the clear light, whack, right? I'm making fun, but, you know, yes, we're stuck in that, and no, we're not stuck in that.
Which means that if, let's say we have the chance to know that we can change it, you know,
Right.
but you know, the tendency is that if, let's say you have the kind of bad seed, I mean, sorry, I mean, kind of, you still have the bad seed and things like that, you know, that particular person is not so easy to tend to listen to all these things, you know, like, because if, let's say, wisdom is kind of like you yourself needs to have the good merits to listen to it, you know, so
Right.
which means that he's still in you know, samsara, you know, then still
right.
doing back the same thing, and then still facing the same problem, and then, you know, round
Right.
and round.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if there's somebody in my world that I'm trying to tell these things to, and they're not interested, where's that coming from?
Yep.
Right. So I don't like, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I
Mhm.
go to somebody else who I wouldn't listen to before, and I say, tell me about da 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 da, right? Change my seeds to be listened to. What's another reason I don't get listened to? Useless speech. Oh, right?
Okay.
Lying, not believed. Oh. So if I'm seeing somebody else that doesn't want to hear it, fix me,
Okay.
right?
So
Fix me.
so you we
That-
so in that way, other people will listen to me, listen to what I'm trying to say and explain.
Right, right. All of this is to apply to ourselves, and our tendency, our human tendency is, wow, I've got the answer. I need to tell you the answer and you need to do that. And it's like, don't do that. Fix you. And they will come to you and ask you someday. You set the example. Yeah. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. Chris, you had something.
Well, I was just wondering, there's lots of lists of correlations and of bad deeds and even bad deeds phrased positively, but do you have any suggestions for lists of antidotes or dedications that correlate with? I mean, you just said one. I mean, for instance, in killing, I was listening and it's like drive really carefully. Well, I wouldn't have necessarily thought of that one to go with that one. But so has anybody made a list of those types of things?
Right. You know, there's this little book called The Puppy, the Pen, and the Chew Toy. And it's a pretty concise review of the 4x4. And then there's a section in there about, it's all about healing. So it's about protecting life, not the others. But it goes into how to think beyond the box of just not killing. How is it that all these different ways of protecting life. And
Right.
so once you see how that like thinking goes down, you can do the same for all the other 10 non-virtues. What's the opposite, you know, in a big form, and how are the little ways that I can see myself doing that, right? There is a list of correlations and antidotes that come out of the Wheel of Knives in course 14. In the student notes, there's a nice list also about, you see this kind of result, it's because you did this, and so we need to do the opposite.
Yeah, because
And
I
then-
just looked at all kinds of karma and it just basically says, this is what happens. And it has a
Right.
few, you know, if you want to be beautiful or if you want to, you know, but they're not
Right.
really like the 10 virtues
Right.
or the 10 misdeeds. They're sort of,
Right.
you know, if
right.
you want to be a king or, you know,
Yeah. You know,
But,
that would be a fun thing to do as a, you know, an extra class is let's brainstorm the 10 virtues and how we might put those into practice in life.
it could easily be a book, a class on how to keep your book too.
Yes, yes, right. So that's the
Because
other
that's
place.
kind of the thing, is like, what do I write down? What do I do?
Right,
Anyway.
right. But on the other hand, we're wanting to learn how to make our own choices, you know,
Yes.
so it's like to make our own correlations is a really useful skill because we want to learn how to do it on the fly, right?
That's true.
Yeah, nice. Good. Yes, Roxana.
Thank you, Jerlam. I just wanted to share something that you taught us years ago. And it's like, even the fruit or the vegetables, they talk to you, right? When you go to the supermarket and you see, oh, that's such beautiful watermelon, for sure it's going to be sweet and juicy inside. You come home and it's all sour and all yucky. So
Yeah.
that's also a ripening about or lying, because like the watermelon lied to us because we
Right.
thought it was going to be, oh, beautiful, delicious. And it was the
Right.
opposite.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you for
Right.
teaching. And
Right.
for-
And so what you point out is like, well, so then what do we do with that? So,
Yeah.
right. So we go, whoa, okay, then this watermelon that lied to me just burned off my lying karma. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
watermelon. One less, right?
Of course. But also, you know, I'm writing something because I'm having a little bit of issues right now with situations that I think that somebody has put me in the middle of it. And then I go, now I have put someone else in the middle of it. But I kind of am identifying because I don't want to keep on, you know, planting seeds of the same. But at the end, it's you've lied in the past because you're getting these results.
Right. But so that helps us understand, and it helps us know what not to do. But you're not in the position of lying again. You're in a position of choosing some other kind of behavior to
Right.
get this thing to shift.
Right.
And
Right.
actually that brings up it brings up something else that'll probably take me 10 more minutes. Everybody have 10 more minutes? It's not part of
We have
class. Class is done. Right? So when we find ourselves in a you know, a negative ripening, say that there's something that's a repeated pattern that we're finding. And we see, okay, I'm not being believed. And I know it's from past lying, but I don't lie in this life. You know, I really don't. And so it's like, I don't really have that tool to just say, okay, I'm going to be really, really truthful to stop this situation. How do I work with it? It's not really enough to just say, okay, bring it on, I'm burning off, right? That's helpful, but we want to be able to know what to do. And it's not about just not lying, because you're not even tempted to lie to fix that situation. And so what you do is you say, well, how is this situation actually making me feel? Like, I see that it's a result of past lying, but it's making me feel disrespected. And then that's what to work with. I'm feeling disrespected by this situation. The situation is caused by past lying. I'm not inclined to lie, but I'm feeling disrespected. Where am I causing others to feel disrespected? Am I doing things that could make others feel disrespected? Maybe I don't really look at the lady in the grocery store. I'm so busy tracking, is she doing my groceries right, that I never look up and smile at her. And it's like, I don't know whether she takes that personally or not, but I'm aware of myself just ignoring somebody who's helping me. Oh, maybe that's a place where I can be more attentive, more respectful, right? More kind. And I can dedicate that to the end of this circumstance that's making me feel disrespected. That was caused by my lying, but I don't lie anymore. So that's not the thing to work with. Do you see how to work with it at a deeper level? How does it make me feel now? And that's what I'm doing in my world somewhere, that I need to find where and to do the opposite. And it won't have anything to do probably with the person who's causing me to feel disrespected. It's some other place. And I intentionally work on helping you feel respected. You feel respected. You feel respected. You feel respected. And next thing you know, somebody says, whatever happened with that situation between you? And you go, I don't remember what you're talking about. Right? It shifts so deeply that the other problem is just gone. You never have to solve it. You just identify what reaction you're having and realize that's what to work with. The lying made them disrespect you in the first place. But now it's disrespecting others that's making you feel disrespected by their behavior towards you. You see? That's how to use this stuff. Because probably we don't have the habit of what we're ripening because it's from so long ago. Now, if we do have the habit, right, of lying, then of course you work with that one. But probably it's more subtle. Okay? Yes, Roxana.
Just wanted to add, for example, it's so wonderful to have a karmic partner, dear Lama, because listening to this and go through the subtleties of things that you don't see and somebody else see helps a lot into trying to identify what you just said. I'm very fortunate to have Berta, and I have the confidence to open up to her and to let her know what my ripenings are.
Good.
And both as coach, we can coach each other and help each other through this. So my advice would be to find someone with whom you feel free and confident to talk about. Thank you,
that's
Jirama, for your teachings. Thank you.
great
Thank you
advice.
for sharing.
Yeah. Good. Yes, Kongli.
Yeah, teacher, in another way is that, after learning all this kind of wisdoms, so how we applied it in ourselves, okay, to make a better me, and then later on, to spread this towards others. So which means that first thing, of course, we have to fix ourselves first.
Right.
Use it on ourselves.
Right.
Is it what I'm trying to say?
That is correct. That was so profound, it froze Kongli.
Okay, I'm here. I can. Yeah, I can. You can hear me just now. I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Now we hear you again.
Okay. Can you hear what I'm trying to say just now?
If you keep talking, I think.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. No, just now what I was trying to say, after learning, try to fix it on ourselves before we go out to others.
Correct.
It's kind of sometimes that is a little bit hard when problem happen.
Sometimes.
Very challenging.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
But without those problems, we wouldn't know what to fix, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of like, sometimes can take it, sometimes cannot. So still have to work hard on the part that, cannot take it. Yeah. It's kind of like
Exactly.
very
That's
challenging.
the practice.
Finally, remember that the lotus needs the mud, okay?
Right.
Sorry?
That the lotus, the flower lotus needs the
Yeah,
mud.
yeah.
Okay? So we need the suffering to go through happiness and through wisdom.
Yeah. Actually, kind of like, I can understand it. I know what is it like, but when in practice, sometimes it's a little bit hard. Okay, I try my very best.
Yay. Okay. So remember that person we wanted to be able to help. We learned a lot. This class is like mark it so that you come back to it, especially the correlations. You have your encyclopedia to enlightenment here. And that's a great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. Think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy guide. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close Ask them to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom there to guide you. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom may. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every being you've ever seen or heard of. See them all filled with happiness, filled with wisdom, filled with loving kindness, shining it forth to every other. And may that be so.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again for the opportunity. I'm stopping recording. Yes.